Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Kaveri Seed Company's Q2 and H1 FY24 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions at the end of today's presentation. Please note that this conference call will be recorded. Joining us today on this call is Mr. Mithun Chand, Executive Director. Before we begin, I would like to mention that some of the statements made in today's call may be forward-looking in nature and may involve risk and uncertainties. For a list of such consideration, please refer to the earnings presentation. I would now like to hand over the call to Mr. Mithun Chand. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome everyone to our Q2 and H1 Financial Year 24 earnings conference call. We hope you had a chance to review the presentation of our results, which is also available on our website. I would touch upon the operational and financial performance of the company and then open the floor for question and answer session. Revenue from operations has registered a growth of 5.75% to 863.42 crore as compared to 816.44 crore in first half financial year 23. EBITDA was at 298.88 crore as compared to 259.72 crore in financial 23, increased by 15.08%. EBITDA margin improved to 34.62% from 31.81% in first half financial 23, improved by 301 basis points. Net profit grew by 14.45% to 278.56 crores as compared to 248.39 crore. PAT margin was at 32.26% as compared to 29.81%, grown by 245 basis points. Cash on books stood at 732 crore as compared to 497 crores. Major highlights. Board has recommended 250% dividend, that is rupees 5 per equity share on a face value of rupees 2 per equity share. Despite stable volumes in rice and cotton, better realization translated into substantial revenue growth, which has fueled significant improvement in margins. The surge in global rice prices has propelled a remarkable 10.8% increase in rice cultivation area. Company is not only witnessing unprecedented success in the vegetable business, but also aggressively expanding its footprints in international markets. In vegetable, major focus is on cold crops like cauliflower, cabbage, and carrot. Cotton volumes are stable and revenues increased by 6.77%. Hybrid rice volumes are stable, revenues increased by 9.97%. Selection rice volumes grew by 4.87% and revenues by 14.8%. Maize revenues were grown by 13.96%. The contribution of new products was up from 44.46% to 58.71% in Bajra. Vegetable seeds volume increased by 25% and revenues grew by 20.6%. Vegetable crops like bitter gourd, tomato, okra, and watermelon have done well. Export business has increased by 146.49% on account of expanding newer geographies. Major export sales volume increased. Maize sales export volumes increased by 129.91% and revenues by 140.52%. I would now open the floor for question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Participants present on the audio bridge who wish to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Madhur Rathi from Counter Cyclical. Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir. Sir, I wanted to know, sir, our cotton prices, cotton revenues from Q2 on Q2 basis have fallen. So why? What is the reason for that?
Second quarter is a very lean quarter for us. Whatever sale we get is a spillover sale. Compared to last year, if you see, because of the thin volumes, the cotton sale is lower. But that is not significant. It's only a few thousand packets lower than last year.
Okay. Sir, there was a report that this year cotton production was lower. So do we think that next year cotton seed sales will be better than expected, or what kind of growth are you expecting in the cotton segment for the next year?
The cotton production is a bit tough this year, which we are going to sell for the next year, but it's too early to predict the output on that. We can only say by the month of January or February what is the production that we are going to get.
But sir, in your experience and being in industry for so long, sir, how has the year post El Nino been in terms of the business?
Sorry?
Sir, in your experience, how has the year post El Nino year been in the business, our business segment of cotton and other seeds?
So basically, we are done in spite of this tough condition this year. Most of the crops were stable or lower. But even in these tough conditions, we were able to increase the revenues and some crops the volume as well. And being a multi-crop portfolio, we don't see that sort of a risk when compared to the other companies which are concentrated on one or two products. In that way, we are very much placed, and El Nino year and the other normal years are well in the it's a cycle, so we don't see much of a difference. And we are quite bullish in the second half and even for the next year.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And sir, we had launched hybrid tobacco seeds. So how are they doing?
Sorry?
Hybrid tobacco seeds that we had guided in our AGM that we had launched. So how are they doing?
Hybrid tobacco seeds?
Yes, sir.
Which seed you are talking about?
Yes, sir, we had launched hybrid tobacco seeds. We had guided in our AGM. So that's what I was asking. How has that response been?
Hybrid tomato?
Tobacco, sir.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Madhurari. Could you speak a little louder because your sound is not clear?
Hybrid tobacco seeds, sir.
Hybrid tobacco? We are not into tobacco at all.
Okay. And sir, with 732 crores on our cash, please do a buyback, sir. It will be very helpful for our shareholders.
Definitely, we'll definitely consider that. Again, subject to the board discussion, we'll definitely consider it.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you and all the best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Anand, who's an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir, and congratulations on a good set of numbers. My first question is on cotton seeds. What I realize is that, sir, our previous seeds like Jadoo, ATM, although they had a very high yield, but the feedback that I have received is these old hybrids take around 160 to 180 days for maturity. And currently these seeds have become susceptible to bollworm in the later stages of crop. So is that a fair understanding?
Yes. As we move forward, these are old hybrids, and if you see, after Jadoo became ATM was there. ATM is still doing well in some parts, and after that we have introduced Moneymaker, which is also doing well now. After that, now we have introduced a couple of hybrids for the north and the central regions also, which are doing well. So it's a combination of all, and definitely in the industry, and as we go over the years, previous hybrids get faded out and new hybrids come in based on the challenges. Now most of the hybrids, you have rightly said that we are trying for resistance for the virus, some sucking pest resistance that we are looking at.
So the two hybrids that I hear from Kaveri stable are 144 and 36. These are, these are the hybrids which matures much early in the cycle, like 100 and 120 days. So where are we in, if I were to look at last season, if you can give us a breakup of how our sales were between these older hybrids which would take higher maturity and these newer hybrids which would mature much early in the season.
So basically, if you take our portfolio, Jadoo, ATM, and Moneymaker contributes to more than 85% of the revenue. There are other hybrids which are sold in very small quantity. So these are all the new hybrids which are introduced recently, like 500,000, 1 lakh packets. So based on next year, and we are waiting for this year result. As of now, it looks good. But for the next meeting, I can be telling you the correct position, which are the promising hybrids based on the performance this year. But what we see as of now, they are performing well, and going forward, these will pick up the volumes.
So if I were to look at this season, I think on a combined we did around 57 lakh packets as a company, a consolidated company. Is that the number?
Roughly, I don't exactly remember, but it is close to last year.
55 to 60 lakh, somewhere in between.
It's close to last year figure, 1 lakh plus or minus. It's like 2% or more. That's it.
So now so going ahead, do you see that so some of these hybrids, let's say 36 or 144, depending on how these hybrids perform, do you think that the share of these would continuously keep going up?
Definitely. We think they are very promising hybrids. As I said earlier, we will wait for another season, but this season end we'll be knowing the exact system about the performance of that, and we'll be giving a guidance which are the hybrids which are looking better. And not only these two, we have tested many other hybrids in different codes, which I can't reveal right now. We're all testing stage. Once they are there, we'll disclose. But definitely, we see a very promising hybrids in our portfolio. Going forward, we see momentum in cotton seeds as well.
So the next question that I have is again on the same thing. So what has happened in the last, like I've been tracking Kaveri since like maybe 2015 onwards, or maybe even before that. The price per packet of seeds has not moved much, like from 800 to 850 rupees right now, roughly 845, I think that's the price. So do you see significant margin pressure, and do you also see production volumes going down because the farmers are not getting compensated enough for that?
Yes, if you see cotton seed from the last 8-9 years, it has not moved up when compared to 2015. But in the last 2 years, selling price moved up by 5%. Only the 2 or 3. Like they said, now the production is very difficult, and the cotton seeds production cost is also going up. So that is putting a pressure on the margin. But definitely, we are trying to increase the selling price, so that is compensating on it.
So okay, one more question in terms of the production side. So if we have to plan for next season, then by when can we have seeds which can be used for production?
So already we are planning for next year production.
Okay.
We usually sow in the month of May 23 for selling something in the month of in the Kharif of 24.
Okay.
So
And going by our current production plans, what could be the maximum number of packets we can do in the next season?
So we are in target. I may not be disclosing the exact figure that we will not reveal as of now, but we have enough production for next year. As I said in the earlier question, what is the productivity of that? That only we will get to know by year end, because the season was also not good. There was delayed dry spells in between. Pest attack was also more. So that we'll get to know by once December to January.
Okay. But I mean, I understand your difficulty in giving that kind of a prediction, but can we assume like it could be like 20% to 40% more, or any range that you can give compared to last year?
Usually we are saying that cotton will grow in between 5 to 10%. Something as a guidance, we are saying cotton will grow in between 5 to 10%. So based on for our requirement, we have production.
Oh, okay. And these
production in the sense like the left out stock and the fresh production, we are on target on that as of now. But again, subject to the weather conditions.
Okay. So basically, for next year, as of now, I mean, things might change. You see a 5 to 10% growth in the cotton seed as of now.
We have already given this guidance long back. In the past 1-2 years, we are saying 5 to 10% in cotton for the next 2 to 3 years. So we still give the same guidance.
Okay. I'll move on to other crops now, sir. We have seen significant growth in Q2 in maize, and you have also highlighted that there is a very, very strong demand for maize going ahead. So if you can tell us that, is this demand, what areas this demand is coming from? And on the export side, our exports have grown significantly this quarter. You have also alluded to export growing significantly going ahead. So do we have, what kind of registrations we have in different countries? That is one thing I want to know, for what all crops in that sense. And how do you see export growth going ahead in the next few quarters and the next year? And also finally, on maize, what kind of growth are we looking at in the coming year?
So maize as a crop looks good, both in terms of domestic and internationally. We gave a guidance of 10 to 15% in maize, or a longer term of period 3 to 5 years. That we are pretty confident that we will be able to achieve it. And this quarter, especially when talking about coming back to this quarter, maize revenues contributed to the major growth. One is both in domestic, we had a good sale and across India, because anyway it's a very lean quarter for us. Second quarter, most of that is a spillover sale. Might be in Karnataka, might be in some parts of Andhra and some parts of Maharashtra. But major contribution was from exports, where we have done 15 crores more than last year. So against 10 crores of exports, we had 25 crores of exports there. That was a major revenue, and out of that exports, 90% of that was maize. More than 90% was maize.
And do you see this trend continue?
Maize as a crop looks good. Going forward, we see maize going better in exports also.
Okay.
And we are exploring other countries. So the majority of the exports earlier was only to Bangladesh and some of Nepal. Now we are even looking at African countries. And we are concentrating crops like maize, sunflower, vegetables, and rice. Rice, especially for the southeastern countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand. These are the countries which are concentrating more. So, including Vietnam. So we see a good growth coming in there. And wherever we have tested our rice hybrid, that's very positive. So definitely, as you know, it will take some time for us to make road, but it's very positive. We are moving in a very positive direction, and as a company, we are very much bullish on this export segment.
So you also mentioned in the presentation this time that vegetable seed sales growth has gone up by 25% and 26% roughly, and the revenue growth and revenues grew by around 20%. And you also mentioned that there is unprecedented growth in the vegetable segment for us. Success. So how do you see, because this portfolio has not changed in last 5 years from like roughly say been stagnant at around 30 crores. So how do you see this vegetable going ahead, right? Like for this year and for the coming year. How do you see vegetable?
Vegetable is a very big segment in India, and this is the fastest growing segment. We are very small in the vegetable segment, or by saying the overall market. And the way what we have worked in the last 10 years, we have very good hybrids which are there in the pipeline, and some hybrids are already placed in the market. And last year we had done close to 45 crores as a overall sale for vegetables. Again, first half it was 22 compared to 26 this year. So in the second half also we see a similar growth. And we think that vegetable year on year can grow at more than 20-25% of the CAGR.
Okay, that's helpful. The last question from my side, it's more of, in case of vegetable companies, to some extent the demand outlook that we have can also be visualized from the balance sheet in terms of, the kind of advances that we get from the customer. So if I were to look at our H2 other current liabilities, which I think are mostly coming from advances from customers, they have gone up, like, they used to be like 80-90 crores 5 years before, and now they are almost at 270 crores. So if you can give some kind of a breakup of those in terms of what crops are these?
You're talking of current liabilities?
Other current liabilities, which are 270 crores, and
so that other current liabilities not only advances, that also is payments which need to give for the production.
Oh, okay. Which we also need to give for the.
So usually it is a very lean season. We don't have much of an advances for this. second half. Usually we get advances for the first half, but the industry is changing. Nowadays we are not taking much of an advances because we need to give more discounts. So we have slightly slowed down on that.
Oh, okay. And sir, one last question, sir. So on the company stock, one of the major hangovers have been the IT, the income tax issue. Do you think that two things, sir? What could be a maximum liability here in this case, in case we lose the case? And B, do you think there could be some kind of a settlement with the department so that this hangover is taken care of?
Basically, we don't have any litigation as of now. I mean to say we don't have any pending demand other than what we have disclosed in the balance sheet or to the exchanges. Other than that, we don't have any pending demands. We are claiming an agriculture income. They might deny it. For that, the liability is all calculated what basis they do it. But as of now, we have only 1 year litigation that we are seeing. The other litigation is a different litigation. We never got any demand for that.
And what is the amount? I mean, if you can.
They never derived any amount for that because as they have not given any demand, so there's no derivation for the liability.
Because this is a major hangover because rest of the crop companies that I see, even some of our competitors, they actually don't consider it as an agriculture income. Like DCM Shriram.
I don't know which companies you are seeing it. Many companies doing that way, but the subject is pending and everything is disclosed in reports and everything is transparent from the company side. Based on the other unexpected liabilities, we don't know. If something is there, definitely we'll try to intimate.
Okay, good. Thank you, sir. Thanks for it.
Thank you. Before we take the next question, a reminder to all the participants that you may press star and 1 to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Manish Shah, who's an individual investor. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity, sir. Sir, in the presentation, you told that the second half also is looking very good. So what crops are looking good and what kind of revenue growth you can do compared to last year, sir?
Basically, second half is all contributed by maize. And the other thing, the other crop, other segment, what we are looking at exports. These two contributes to the major second half. So both the segments should do well.
So comparison to last year, second half should be what, 15%, 10% more?
So we are given a guidance in between 10 to 15%. That's what we stick for.
Sir, in the guidance you have told that the profit can grow by 15% CAGR for the next 2-3 years. You stick by that guidance, sir?
If you see the first half, yes, the profit has grown by close to 14-15%.
So we can do for the next 2-3 years, that is possible?
Sorry?
For the next 2-3 years, is it possible, sir, to do this kind of numbers?
Yeah. On a consolidated basis, for the first half, grew by like 13.5%.
Yeah, sir.
We said 12 to 15% on the bottom blend. We are still stick to that.
Sir, and another question is about, sir, the exports and the vegetables. Sir, in the next 3 to 5 years, what kind of figure can you, like, can it be 100 crore business or more than that, exports and vegetables? Or any other?
Next to 3 to 5 years, what we see, both exports and vegetables should be close to 100 crores plus.
A single segment or both?
As a single segment.
And sir, any other promising crop?
We are again entered. We are started selling mustard also. That is also a good crop. So that we also see growth in that mustard segment.
And sir, about the cash on the books of 32 crores, sir, what are the future plans, sir? Any acquisition or any other thing?
We are open for acquisition. In the previous, as we were not able to find any growth, we have given dividend or buyback. So again, based on the current scenario, we'll see whether we need to go for the buyback or based on the opportunity we need to acquire a company. That will disclose. That again, that depends on the board. Once any outcome from the board, definitely we'll let you know.
Sir, what kind of area in acquisition are you looking, sir? Because in the presentation you have given that the cotton seeds we are the second number two player, and in other segments where are you looking for acquisition, sir?
Basically for some vegetable companies or some technology.
Sir, any specific, sir?
As of now, nothing. I said that we have not identified any company, and we are open for it. If any company comes in, definitely we'll acquire. As of now, we have not identified anything.
So, sir, if there is no acquisition, then there is a buyback.
Yeah, that I will not comment as of now. That again subject to the board decision. Any decision taken, we'll definitely inform.
Sir, thanks a lot for answering all the questions, sir.
Thank you. A reminder to all the participants, you may press star and one to ask a question. The next question is from the line of Anurag Jain, who's an individual investor. Please go ahead. Mr. Jain, are you there? Hello, Mr. Jain. You're not audible to us. I think Mr. Anurag Jain's line has dropped. A reminder to all the participants, you may press star and one to ask a question. We will give it a moment for the question queue to assemble. The next question is from the line of Anurag Jain, who's an individual investor. Please go ahead. Mr. Anurag Jain, are you there? Because you're not audible to us. Mr. Anurag Jain, we are unable to hear you. I would request you to disconnect and join back. A reminder to all the participants, you may press star and one to ask a question. We would take that as the last question. On behalf of Kaveri Seed Company Limited, I would like to thank all the participants for joining the call. For any further information, please be in touch with Rama Naidu from Intellect IR. You can reach him on 99202-09623. On behalf of Kaveri Seed Company, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect.